Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. We'll bring you all the big stories we've been tracking in the polity and in politics. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government faults U.S. intelligence over genocide claims as opposition figure. Peter Obi seeks constructive diplomatic engagement between both governments. Governor Doye formally defects to the All Progressives Congress from the People's Democratic Party, cites political realignment and inability of the PDP to put his house in order as his reason. And the Lagos State Commissioner says he's now declared former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore wanted for instigating disturbance of public peace in Lagos. Thanks again for joining us on the program where we'll give you all access pass to all things politics and everything in between, especially what plays out in the polity. And yes, yet again, another political event happened. Well, it's been coming because we're familiar with the territory, and this makes it the number 4 governor from the People's Democratic Party that has now officially moved to the APC, from Sheriff Oboroworo of Delta State to Moreno of Akwa Ibom down to Peter Amba of Enugu. Governor Doye of Bayelsa State, after resigning a few days or weeks ago, has now officially moved to the APC. And the event was colorful, with the vice president leading the delegation and the chairman of the party also there to give him the solidarity support, making it one of the 5 states now in the South-South region that is now APC. Now left perhaps with only Rivers. Let's take a listen to some of the remarks that were made in that day.
The workers have spoken in one voice. Bayelsa said, we are now APC.
So there is so much we can do together by aligning with the federal government that has shown us the will and the direction that they love Ijaw people, that they love Bayelsa State. Don't let anybody deceive you. Anybody who is telling you otherwise is for his own selfish program.
You have expanded roads to remote communities and assured them that they are not forgotten. You have built bridges where there were barriers. You have lit homes where there was darkness. This is what it means to govern with empathy. From the Sagbama Ekeremo Highway to the Yenagua Oporoma Bridge, you have connected lives.
All right, that's what played out in Yenagua, the Bayelsa State capital, as far as the issues around defection is concerned. Now, let's also tell you that in reaction to the recent comments by the U.S. President Donald Trump on alleged genocide of Christians in Nigeria, the federal government says the recent data shows a decline in violent incidents and a rise in successful security operations nationwide. This was revealed at the 4th National Joint Security Briefing in Abuja, organized by the National Orientation Agency, the NOA, in collaboration with security and intelligence agencies. The DG of NOA, Lanre Isa Onilu, reaffirmed government's resolve to transparency, accountability, and citizens' engagement in the security of the people and anti-corruption efforts, stressing that every naira recovered must benefit the people.
This is not the first time that the intelligence of the United States has failed America. It failed them in Iraq. It turned out that there was no weapon of mass destruction, and they apologized. It failed them in Libya and many other instances. So I'm sure this is another error in an intelligence gathering. But beyond that, we all are Nigerians, I suppose, and we know that there are killings in Nigeria, and there are killings that should not happen. And there will not be this monthly security briefing if this government does not take it seriously. There's not going to be a security briefing today at the office of the NSA, where all the security agencies, and it's going to be Nigeria's official response to this issue.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election, Mr. Peter Obi, has also reacted to the proposed U.S. military action against Nigeria. In a statement posted on his X-verified account, Mr. Obi called for diplomatic engagement between Nigeria and the United States. The part of the statement reads, the recent pronouncement by U.S. government declaring Nigeria as a country of particular concern and indicating possible military action should give every well-meaning Nigerian serious concern. The present situation calls for constructive diplomatic engagement by both nations aimed at addressing the prevailing security concerns. And the quote, he described the current security situation in the country, in his words, as unprecedented, noting that 10,000 Nigerians have been killed since May 2023, citing figures from Amnesty International. While acknowledging that insecurity did not begin under this current administration, the former presidential candidate faulted the All Progressives Congress-led government for lacking the competence, patriotism, and commitment to address the crisis. He condemned the rise in violence, which, according to him, reflects the government's failure to protect lives and property. And of course, the conversation stays with those concerns around alleged genocide and possible invasion, if you will, and the pushback by the government saying it is the wrong characterization of the situation in the country. Joining us on the program is former Ambassador Joe Kiashi, former Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary, diplomat. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure being with you.
Ambassador, I know that a lot has been said from the geopolitics end to the local manifestation end. I read some of the statement by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, where he said, paraphrasing what he's saying, simply saying, if the government of Nigeria doesn't do their work, we'll help them do it. And we know how it ends. That's why descending Nigerians are saying, let's put our house in order, because if somebody else has to help us put our house in order, it will not go down well. But what's your interpretation of what is playing out and the rhetorics you're hearing, both from the government and everybody commenting?
Well, you won't believe why I'm laughing or why I'm smiling. This is a very good development to start with. Very, very good development. If you want to, if we want to be objective and sincere to ourselves and not deceive ourselves. Oh, by the way, what that gentleman that you call the Director General of the NOA was saying, he was actually talking absolute rubbish. He doesn't know what he was saying, that US is acting on faulty intelligence. I'll come to that later. But let me tell you why this is a very, very interesting development. In the last 3 days since Donald Trump, by the way, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. But in the last 3 days that Donald Trump made the statement he made, first of all, declaring the country a particular, of concern, particular concern, and then declaring that, look, if you do not put your house in order, that he might order a military, invasion to clear up the bandits or whatever name we call them. I have not seen Nigerians pay attention to an issue like this before. Go to any WhatsApp group. That is exactly, go to any WhatsApp group, any conversation in this part of the world today is on that, and that is unprecedented. The government itself has suddenly waken up to the fact that, oh, this is a serious matter. But here's the deal. For example, this morning, I think it was Arise, I was breaking the news that government is going to now appoint ambassadors to missions. For the last 2 years, I have shouted myself out that we needed to have ambassadors in our missions and gave all the reasons in the world why we needed ambassadors. Nobody listened. But Donald Trump now said this. Everybody realized that, oh, ambassadors are needed to be in missions to do, to represent the president and to represent the... Why, for goodness sake, do we have to wait for 2 years and create a vacuum that has partly led us to this mess? Because nobody in Washington was engaging. If you know how Washington works or the diplomatic community works in some of these advanced countries, junior officers have a limited leverage to play in most of these capitals. So the good news is we are now waking up to the reality of the Nigerian situation. And that is that we need to address the insecurity that has been with us for over 15 to 20 years. I've been saying to anybody who cares to listen, nobody has told me why this insecurity has lasted for this length of time. The APC, by the way, came to power promising to end insecurity. Buhari spent 8 years. President Tinubu has spent 2 years, until we are threatened before everybody now wakes up and say, oh, this, that, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to engage. For goodness sake, this is what happens when government fails the people. Somebody else. Look, those who are aggrieved, when that man was saying, failure of intelligence, he absolutely has no idea of what he's talking about. I have engaged the committee that makes this recommendation. I engaged this very committee in 2009. They brought to the meeting in Washington a complete dossier of what they have been receiving from their diplomatic mission, from those particularly concerned in the Christian areas of this country, as to what has been happening, and the government lackadaisical attitude or not paying attention. Remember what happened the last time? Was it in Benue or was it in Plateau? How many people were killed? President Tinubu, under pressure, went there and asked the Inspector General of Police, why haven't you arrested anybody? And I said in one television interview that if I was the president, I wouldn't ask that question. I would sack the Inspector General of Police. The Inspector General of Police came out and said, oh, we have arrested 26 people. As of today, nobody has been tried. And that has been the reaction. And believe it or not, people outside this country can give you evidence of Christians who've been killed, and nothing was done by the federal government. And then the federal government compounded the situation, and himself and his apologists, by arguing that, oh, Muslims are still being killed. In other words, you are saying, yes, Christians are being killed, but also Muslims. The issue is, that is even an inhuman statement to make. Are Muslims not human beings? Should those Muslims have been killed? Those Muslims were killed because you took an oath to protect them and you failed to protect them. Now somebody has said, if you do not protect your citizens, I'll come and help you do it. And suddenly we are all awake to the reality that we need to do something. And this is why I said it's a good development, by the way. Maybe this will make us serious. Maybe this will make all of us, including the government, to realize that this insecurity has gone on for far too long, more than 15 years. And I've been saying we need to end the insecurity. Pure and simple. It's costing human life. It's affecting our economy. You heard yesterday just the statement of Donald Trump. You heard what happened in what they call it, some of our economic indices. So the wake-up call is good, but we need to do more. And that is, if we are awake to the reality of things, let us do things properly. It's as simple as that. Somebody commits offense, somebody commits murder, somebody commits atrocity. For goodness sake, arrest the person, try him and jail him. If they have been doing this, I do not think that we'll be in this mess.
All right, Ambassador, we'll come back. A couple of questions for you, but we'll take a quick break. One of the questions I want to look at is the diplomatic angle of this, as well as actions that I expected. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us, sir. Welcome back. Ambassador Joe Keshi is my guest, and we're talking about the threat by the U.S. government to invade and flush out terrorists if we choose, or if we don't take action as soon as possible. And that has generated controversy, discussion around the politics. Ambassador, thank you so much for staying with us. So let's walk through this as quickly as possible. When Donald Trump tweeted through or posted his message, he gave a precondition, basically saying that if nothing is done immediately and effectively, then they will have no choice than to defend the Christians that are affected in this sense. When he said that, from a diplomatic point of view, what exactly is he expecting the government to do in the immediate term to be able to avert a possible U.S. invasion on those places?
He is expecting, I mean, he's sending a message to not just the government, but all of us to do the right thing, which is no lies, all lies are important. The government responsibility, I hope everybody understands or knows that the first priority of government, from the day the first government was established, is the security of lives and properties, particularly the security of life. And every international convention on that talks about the protection of lives, even in war zones. And so when the government fails to take this seriously, this is the consequences that others will intervene. So he expects that we'll wake up to the reality that we need to do something and end the killings in Nigeria. And that's why I keep saying, it is time we end the insecurity. The insecurity in Nigeria is not only killing, affecting, taking the lives of innocent people, it's also generally affecting the economy, by the way. So they are sending a message to us, for goodness sake, end the crisis in your country. It's gone on too far. It's a very simple message. And I'm glad to say that, as I said at the beginning of this program, that Nigerians are reacting, yes, left and right and so on, but we are awake to the situation. Government itself is awake to the situation. And I believe that they are now trying to find out, see how they can, what the best they can do to end the crisis. And this is what happens. If you do not open your doors or your windows, the devil will never get in. And this is where we find ourselves. So they are saying to us, for goodness sake, stop the killings in your country, based on international agreements that Nigeria subscribed to when we became independent. Lives are important. It makes no difference whether it's the life of a Christian, whether it's the life of a Muslim, whether it's the life of an atheist. And this is why I actually hate this government initial reaction. And Muslims are also being killed. You are inadvertently admitting that Christians are being killed, but also Muslims. For goodness sake, Muslims are human beings. Should they have been killed? I keep repeating that question to everybody. Should Muslims have been killed in the first instance? No. They were killed because you did not protect them. So let's end the insecurity in this country. Look, we'll be free. Donald Trump, I'll be very careful what I have to say so that...
all right.
Donald Trump gets angry if you say things against him and so on. But I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure that if you put the map of the world on the table with no names, that the US president can identify where Nigeria is. But there are processes that have led to this place. And this is why Nigerian officials need to be careful when they make careless statements that, oh, it's a failure of US intelligence. My dear brother, in 2009, I personally, as permanent secretary, dealt with this issue with people in Washington. And they came with facts and figures to place on the table of what they know is happening in this country. And somebody is sitting somewhere telling me that there is a faulty intelligence.
Ambassador, that is where I want to come in diplomat, because some of us have even advised that in moments like this, if you lack the diplomatic tact and temperament within the presidency, you just stay out so those who can speak and manage the conversation. So I want to talk about messaging. So when government reacts this way, is it that government is denying or is just trying to douse the situation, or that in itself is even a problem?
No, look, if you look at what's been going on since the APC, regrettably since the APC administration and even now, it's all been propaganda. It's all, quite a number of things. Instead of focusing on the issues, look, even in promoting government policies, They also communicate very badly, the spokespersons. Instead of explaining government policies and how it will affect people and take into cognizance, some of the concerns of the people, they rather choose to attack opponents, political leaders, the opposing, either they are not attacking Atiku, they are attacking P2B. In a situation where P2B and Atiku have no business coming into the matter. You are trying to explain some of the good things your president has done. You are bringing in the names of opposition leader. That is very cheap. And what that creates is that it creates distraction. Nobody now pays attention to what you are saying. Atiku supporters get on the line and begin to bash you. Obi supporters get on and begin to bash you. Why do you have to bring them in? You are trying to explain what your government is doing. And then you go ahead just to score some cheap points. You begin to attack opposition leaders. Look, the president's communication team, as far as I'm concerned, they've been very bad communicators. They've been playing to the gallery. And this is exactly why we were in this mess. Oh, by the way, when last did you hear them since the last 1 week that this crisis started? When last? They've all been relatively silent. The point, again, I have to make is, let us find a way to end this. And if we need to engage some people, if we need to engage the United States to help us in terms of intelligence and the rest of it, hopefully we'll not boggle it as we've done in the past. Let us find, look, let's go back to Benue. If you know how the police works, if a crime commits anywhere and 4 or 5 people are involved and you arrest one man, that one man is expected, by the time you finish the interrogation, that one man is expected to have given you the names of the people, other people involved. And then you go and look for those people. More than how many months ago did the Inspector General of Police tell us that he arrested 26 people that took part in these killings? You mean that nobody else has been arrested since the last month? And that the police has not arrested more people? And that nobody has been brought to trial? My dear, these are all what those in those areas are documenting and presenting to their friends in Washington and to the rest of the world and calling it Christian genocide. Unfortunately, when this thing started, look, this thing did not start yesterday. When it started that Nigeria was going to be declared a country of particular concern more than weeks ago, nobody paid attention. Nobody paid attention. Even when Nigeria was declared, nobody paid attention until Trump threatened military action. Then we will walk up to the reality that, no, this is not good.
All right. Ambassador, always good to hear your perspective on this. Just 30 seconds. There is also the angle of whether this is well-intended or this is just another route for dominance. People have talked about supremacy. They were just a little pawn in the geopolitics of all of this. What do you interpret at that level?
That is simply intellectual laziness, by those who are making this thing clear. I told you, if you put up a map, global map, and ask Tom to identify where Nigeria is, if you do not put any name there, he might not be able to. The truth of the matter is, if you understand the process of how the United States works and how those who are from the Benue Plateau, Jos, Nasarawa, and all the Christians community there, how they got in touch with their lobbyists and friends and religious compatriots in the United States, and they began to push this issue. One of the bishops have been going to Congress and addressing Congress, not once, not twice. And there was no Nigerian representative to counteract what was being said. And so they had a field day. So we ourselves mismanaged the process. Nobody paid attention to it when the whole thing started. These gentlemen, the bishops and the clergymen, have been going to the United States. Go and look at some of they've been giving reports, they've been making presentations. Nobody counteracted it. And this is where we are. I remember when it was first started, they said, a federal government delegation is going to go to Washington. I don't know whether the delegation went or not.
All right. So, Ambassador, thank you so much. It's an ongoing conversation, a developing story. There are so many angles to this, but thank you for bringing your perspective. Ambassador Joe Kesh is a former Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I should say, because there's only one federal. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Just before we go, let's also tell you that the Lagos State Police Command, it says it has declared Sowore, the former presidential candidate and activist, wanted for allegedly plotting to instigate public unrest and obstruct traffic along the popular Third Mainland Bridge.
There's no any reason why this protest must take place. The people who are concerned, who are residents of Soki, have been paid compensation by government for those who deserve, who entitled rather to the compensation they deserve. And the people have remained in peace and they've been living in the peace in the community. But it's coming to Lagos to instigate crisis, to instigate violence will not be tolerated. And I want all Lagosians to still go about their lawful businesses without any fear or apprehension. Let him come down, let him put his leg on ground. He's riding in a vehicle and he's making video. The police has covered everywhere and he can't come down. So anywhere he is, he should report at the nearest police station. I hereby, as the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, declare Sowore wanted. I declare him wanted for the act of causing disturbance of public peace and an act to commit serious felony by planning and putting all the plan in motion to obstruct traffic on the Third Mainland Bridge, to cause hardship for Lagosians and other Nigerians, and especially visitors who are transiting through this end. We will not allow this to happen.
Reacted on his social media handles, X said Lagos State Commissioner Moshood Jimoh has reportedly declared me wanted for disturbance of public peace, allegedly as a result of his officers' inability to execute a shoot-on-sight order given by, you know how he calls the IGP in Oworonshoki today. Despite my repeated attempt to contact the Nigerian Police Commissioner Jimoh, he has not taken my calls. Nevertheless, I plan to meet him soon to address his declaration. So, looks like interesting days between Sowore and the police yet again. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.